Hey guys, this is the tutorial for measuring angles in a circle. First of all, I know that page 219 and page 220 is not done. It was a review page and I decided just to start off with the new material so that we can try to make up for lost time. I know you've never seen a protractor before. This is new material. The first section of this page, all of the answers can be found in the yellow page. For math, you will be doing your work in your books, but if you noticed on the assignment page, there's a tab that says put your answers here. When you open that up, a little green page opens up and it has blanks for each one of these answers. So after you find all of your answers for your math page, you'll go back and you will enter the answers into the little link that says put your answers here, and then you'll submit it to me and I'll be able to grade your paper. One thing before I get into this lesson, on the back, usually for area or for perimeter, I always told you to label your answers, but please do not label your answers on this form because there's so many different ways that you could write yard or yards or feet that you could possibly get the answer wrong because of the labels, and I'd rather you not do that. So don't put any labels on any of your answers. Just put the numbers. Make sure you put decimals, but don't worry about putting any labels. Okay, so section 1 I'm not going to do with you because you can get those answers. The one thing that you do need to pick up from this yellow section is that there is 360 degrees in a circle, and that's number 2. So we're going to start with this green circle and use our protractor to measure it. When we're done, there's 4 answers here and they've done one for you. So we only have 3 problems that you have to use your protractor for today, and it should equal 360 degrees. Now the thing about protractors is each one of you probably has one that is different. I'm going to use this one because it looks like the one that's in our page and I like the way that it works. But yours may be small and have this little circle in it, or you could have a bigger one with a circle in it. You may have one that has an arm that swings. You just gotta get used to your protractor and learn how to use it. Okay, so I'm gonna focus in and show you some things on this protractor. First of all, if you notice, there's 2 sets of numbers here. On the right hand, it starts at 0, it's making a half circle, and if you follow the bottom numbers all the way around, it'll end at 180. But then also on the right side, on the top numbers, if you, follow the circle around, it starts at 0 and it ends at 180. What it's working on is the mouth of these angles, right? So for today, when you start at the right side of the circle, then you'll use the bottom numbers starting at 0. So when you start on the right side of a circle this way, and if you move it around to the left, we'll only be using the bottom numbers, and that's what we're going to do today. So it's important to line up your protractor. First of all, where 2 angles meet inside of a circle, like this, where they meet, this section right here, that is the vertex. So in your circle where this dot is, that is the vertex of all of your angles. If you look here, all of them meet in the middle, and the middle is your vertex. So the first angle, we're going to start with this bottom one, that's DBE, so that we can use the bottom numbers. So you have angle DB, sorry it's hard to see, and E. Now when I line it up, I'm going to line up with this particular protractor. I have a line that points at that dot, and then if you can see, I have a line that goes straight, that black line. I've got to make mine point at the dot, and then the line disappear into that ray to where when you look across, it's pointing at 0. Now you may have one like this. If you have one that's like this, you need to take your circle and put it over that dot, and if you look, there's this line on here. That's your line that's going to line up to 0. So I'm going to make sure it's always on the dot and that one of the rays is pointing at 0. And if you can see, I don't know how well y'all can see it, Mine is directly on top of that line. My vertex is lined up and it's pointing at 0. Okay, so I'm going to use the one that I like because it has my little line. Okay, now when I look over and I'm trying to see this ray right here, it's hard to see. So a good thing to do is to take this line and take the straight edge and make this line go off the paper. And I can't hold this and do it at the same time, so I'm going to pause it and draw it, and then while you do the same thing. So hold on. Okay, so if you notice, I have now drawn this line off the page, even into my work here, so that it can be long enough to be read on my protractor, okay? So I'm going to line this up again, lining up this on 0, and this at D on the 0. And when you lean it around, hold on. If you notice, the line is hitting, remember we're only reading the bottom numbers today, the line is hitting 150. So the angle on this is 150 degrees. So go down to D, and right there on D, I'm not going to go ahead and write in this one because Avery still needs to do hers, but this answer here will be 150 degrees. Now I'm going to move this. The important thing to remember is this protractor moves. It doesn't just go to the middle. I'm going to take angle ABE, which will be this one right here, ABE. So I'm going to line up ABE. So on this one that you just drew this long line on, I'm going to underneath it draw this line out as well. And I'm going to need to pause it and you do the same. Okay, now you can see that I have drawn this line out and off the page. Now, you're going to want to like try to line it up like this or like this. That would be wrong because you can't do it this way because now this part of the angle is not in it. So I'm going to need to turn my protractor. If I'm going to use the bottom numbers, I'm going to have to turn my protractor upside down. So everybody turn your protractors upside down. And then we have it kind of slanted here. Let me up this a little. Okay, again, I'm going to point at my 0, line up my line where it's pointing at 0. And now if you look, that extra line that I drew out there, can you see what it's pointing to? It's pointing to 30 degrees. Remember, we're reading bottom numbers. So C is 30 degrees. So now you have 120, that's 30, and that's 150. You could add those together and subtract from 360 to find that one, but I'd like you to practice angle CBD. So angle CBD, you're going to have to turn your protractor all the way around and draw this line out, this one out here. Make sure it's lined up. And then you'll have to put what the degrees is. Now see, from here by looking at it, I know where it's pointing. But when you draw your line out, you'll be able to see that better. So that ends for your protractor today. I have another video that I'm going to make for problem number 3, and I will do that now. Just practice and practice until you get that right. Practice your protractor and lining up your particular one until you see that they're at 0 and you are getting the same numbers that I am on these. And that way for our next lesson, it won't be so complicated. Okay, I hope this helps. And again, catch the next video for drawing problem number 3. Thanks.